Hello, bonjour. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Chaput, Business Advisor at the World Trade Centre Winnipeg. I would like to begin that we acknowledge that we are gathered on the lands in Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Innu, Denisilune, and Dakota Oyate nations. We acknowledge we are also on the homeland of the Red River Métis, and that the northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are ancestral lands of the Inuit. The World Trade Centre Winnipeg team respects the treaties that were made on these territories and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present throughout our nation. Thank you for joining Building Resiliency in the Workplace, which will be presented by Justine McDonald. Just a few housekeeping information before we start. Please send all webinar questions directly through the chat box at the top of your screen. And she will try her best to answer as many questions as possible at the end of today's session. For all logistical questions, please send directly to the chat box and I will answer your question as soon as possible. You will also receive the recording and the slide of this presentation within the next week. All right, let's begin this webinar, and I would like to introduce you to Justine McDonald. She is a business coach for ambitious women and author of the Goal Chasers Planning System. After a decade working in corporate marketing, she decided to take her knowledge of building small businesses, brands to help women create freedom-based businesses. She's been recognized in national publications and most recently created a custom planner with Jillian Harris for her Jilly Academy box and become an instructor for the PACE program at the University of Winnipeg. All right, Justine, thank you again for presenting for us, and let's start this webinar.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to lead this discussion with all of you today. Just so you know, I cannot hear you. I cannot see your questions, so feel free to fire them through. They will not distract me. And I'm excited for this new twist on something that I feel like I have been teaching forever, and that is building resiliency, not just in the workplace, but within yourself so you can bring it into all areas of your life. So today I am going to show you how to intentionally create challenging situations in your life to build a foundation of emotional resilience that not only improves your professional performance, but also your personal happiness level. So please feel free to put this in the chat box and I will see it after, but I would just love to know, because I'm all about community and I'm all about people understanding they are not alone in their circumstances. How many of you have experienced or witnessed burnout in the workplace? Just pop a yes, put a little hand emoji in the chat box. Let your neighbors know that they are not alone in this, because according to Deloitte Canada, they found that 82% of our leaders are exhausted. Not tired. They are exhausted, trying to keep up with the constant demands of the market, of their teams, balancing finances, balancing personal health and professional development, and their families. There is a never-ending list of people and ways that want our time and attention. And we are exhausted trying to meet all of those demands. So I cannot see how many people are on this recording, but if there are 10 of you, I can guarantee 8 of you. If there are 20 of you, 16 of you have experienced this in some form. And that is a staggering amount. So you are in the right place with me here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want more energy, more confidence, and mental freedom, I love to put this picture up because it's a great icebreaker. This is in New York City at the Ice Cream Museum, and I am throwing sprinkles, but everyone thinks it is hot dogs. So now that you have seen it, you cannot unsee it. Just so you know, I am not throwing hot dogs. But this is a great image to show that expression, right? How we want to feel, that vitality factor that so many of us are missing and we have not recuperated from since the pandemic. And so many of us just wanted to get back to normal life, right? We just wanted things to open up. We wanted to see our people. That we haven't really dealt with the exhaustion, the foundation of exhaustion that came from navigating so much change in such a short period of time. So here's a little bit about my story. In 2018, I returned from maternity leave, pregnant with my second actually, and I was unexpectedly laid off. There was 18 of the 25 people in my department that were let go. And shortly after that, I returned to a corporate job that I had worked at many years ago. And I was actually putting products on Amazon and Home Depot and Wayfair for this organization. And I thought, you know what? I've been that friend who for like 10 years was always popping, would this be a good business idea? What about this? What does everyone think about this in my group chat? And in 2019, I had 2 kids at home and I thought, you know what, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I opened an Amazon store, and you can see here, I'm in this photo because we know that early stage entrepreneurs, we don't have time for photography. We don't have money for photography. So I put it on the back of a family photo shoot, and I got my husband and my young daughter to pose for this party store that I had opened up on Amazon. Within 1 year, I got an email from Amazon saying that they were closing my store. I had put all of this energy, all of this money, and I had all these products scattered across the US in multiple Amazon warehouses. But I had made a fatal mistake. I had put all of my eggs in the Amazon basket, and I had no idea what to do next. So I did what I knew how to do. I went back to corporate and I actually moved our family. We had 2 dogs, 2 small kids into our 400 square foot basement. We put a permanent wall up and we rented our house on Airbnb to strangers. And just 4 years later, I celebrated $300,000 in lifetime sales. And why do I tell you this? It's because when we talk about resilience, I want you to know that it's something that I have experienced. I'm not just talking from textbooks. I'm not just talking from all of the information I've seen online. I've lived it. I live it every single day, and it is a huge part of my values and a driver for me in this business. So here are some of the results that have come out of that incredibly trying time for me. I launched my party store closed, and I launched my own line of goal setting planners. You can see some of them behind me here. And I sold thousands and thousands of them across North America. Since then, I had so many people asking me to take my sales and marketing experience in corporate and blend it in with my new knowledge as an entrepreneur. And I have helped over 50 clients here in Manitoba generate over $5 million in new revenue across 30 different industries. And I have created a life that I had convinced myself at one time was only for other people. And I also wanted to quit 100 times, and I'm still here. So successful people demonstrate their resilience through their dedication to making progress every day, even if that progress is marginal. And this is why I love what I do. This is why my business name is Goal Chasers, and we're going to talk more about that. So what does it really mean to be resilient? Resilience is that ability to bend and not break. Right? It's that flexibility. Maybe you've heard that term more recently, emotional flexibility, the ability to change and grow with situations and not feel so rigid in our outcome. And we all, in our own ways, in varying ways, we have faced adversity, conflict, failure, and massive, massive change in our lives. And your ability to hold that and be able to move forward is that resilience factor for you. It's your ability to be successful in anything that you do in your life, is how much can you handle? And that's what I want to talk about today. I want you to leave with clear understanding of a tool that you can actually put in place every single day. It is so simple that will help you to build that resilience muscle for yourself. Because my goal for you is not advancement. Believe it or not, I don't care in the end if you actually achieve the goal. What is so important for me is who you become throughout that process. So if you have not heard this before, the goal is growth, not advancement. I would love you to jot that down right now, make it a t-shirt, put it on a mug. This is a really important thing because as we have so many external factors and we have so much access to information online, it feels like everyone has it all figured out and everyone is doing it better than us. But what we don't see about those people is the internal advancement, that internal growth that allowed for that advancement. So if you're in a season right now where you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling like you don't have tools to continue to move forward, you don't have the leadership ability to model this for your team, I want you to focus on the growth journey, not the outcome. Okay, so today I am going to show you a new way of looking at a very age-old strategy, and we are going to shift your perspective on my favorite, goal setting. Because opportunity for goals and achievement is absolutely everywhere. And maybe you're like me and you can feel overwhelmed with what to choose. Where are you going to put your time? Where are you going to put your money? Where are you going to put your attention? Who's going to get your energy today? And so this process is going to help you to get really clear on where do you want to put that? How are you going to focus your time? And this new lens that I want to share with you today, this is actually the first time I've ever explained it this way. So I'm really excited. I hope that a light switches for you and you never look at goal setting the same way. So you do not need an autobiography of adversity in your life to become resilient. And I think this is one of those limiting beliefs that we carry, that in order to have a message, we need to have been through this catastrophic mess. And that's just not true. You can intentionally build that resilience muscle. You can intentionally create this for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you have to come from a past that has done that for you. You can start building that resilience right now. Okay, so here is the very simple goal setting process. This is your resiliency tool, is goal setting. And this is how I am going to explain it for you today. Number one is your values and your vision. So as I was doing more and more research on the topic of resilience, it just kept coming back to the same principles of goal setting. It came back to the basics. And for those of you that are like, Justine, I've heard every talk possible about goal setting. I do it at work. I do it at home. I've been doing it since I was a kid. What I am going to share with you and the way I'm going to explain it, I hope, is going to change the way that you view how you map out your goals, how you create them, how you feel about them, and ultimately the result of who you are at the end of this process. So step number one in the process, like classic goal setting, is vision, values. So the question I want you to ask yourself, the questions I want you to ask yourself is, what do you want for your life? And if you're anything like me, I'm 40 now, woohoo. You may be thinking, a lot of these things feel kind of cemented in, right? They don't feel super optional for you. But I want you to ask yourself, what have you told yourself is no longer possible? And for me, what really changed my life was I actually have a book. I wish I had it here. I don't have it by me, but I have this little green book from when I was 16 years old. And I wrote down all these goals I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to go skydiving and go on a hot air balloon ride, and I wanted to get braces. And there was one goal on there. The only goal I had not accomplished by my 30s was doing a triathlon. And when I was living in that basement and I had to close my business down and get my family out of $20,000 in debt that business had created, this probably wouldn't be the time to stretch myself even further and decide that I'm going to do a triathlon. So that's exactly when I did it. I started a brand new job as a marketing manager while living in my basement with my family. And I trained at 6 a.m. twice a week in the pool and 7 p.m. twice a week at Cycle Studios, because that goal scared the pants off of me. Actually, holding that goal for 15 years and the thought of going after it with every ounce of strength that I had left and not accomplishing it scared me so deeply. I knew that it was going to be the catalyst for big change in my life. And it was. I would never have started Goal Chasers. I never would have had the bravery and the courage to pick myself back up again, start another product and another business after that failure. And so when you build your goal with resiliency in mind, it comes from a different lens. And this is the big shift I want you to leave with today. If you do not remember anything else that I say today, please remember that we are always so focused in our goal setting on what do other people have? Should I want that? What does my organization or my husband or my family, what do they want me to have? Isn't that what I should probably want? And so you're working, just trying to check everything off the list on a hamster wheel to get to the accomplishment. But what you haven't realized, and maybe why you haven't been successful, maybe why you don't execute anymore, is because you are so focused on the outcome, you have forgotten, or no one has told you that it is about who you become on the journey. And so when you build a goal with resilience in mind, not the outcome, it changes the way the hard stuff feels in between. Because no person on the pursuit of greatness has had a smooth road, right? We have lots of bumps, we have setbacks, we have days that we doubt ourselves and we think we're absolutely crazy for wanting what we want. But when that's a part of the journey for you, when you own that that is the journey, and that the more challenging it is, the stronger you're going to be on the other end, it completely reframes the process for you. Whew. I feel like I need to put that somewhere. So I hope that that is with you. And I cannot see you and I wish I could, but I hope that that really sticks with you, because that is what we are here to learn today. Step number 2 is micro planning. So again, with working with over 50 businesses at this point, in the minute details of the professional and personal lives, I can tell you so many people in goal setting struggle with taking a big, fun vision and breaking it down into small, digestible tasks. And what I mean by this is 30-minute increments of time when you start. Maybe it's 15 for you. Maybe you can do 60 minutes. But where so many people get lost and they give up on their goals, therefore they cannot build that resilience for themselves, is they don't know how to break it down. So for example, in a business, I have a client say, finish my website. That's like 60 hours of work, right? If you cannot schedule it into your day, it's too big. If you cannot accomplish it in 30 minutes, it's too big. And so that's how I want you to focus that big vision plan and put it into action so you can build that resilience muscle, is small, tiny, little bite-sized pieces. And this is going to allow you to feel more accomplished. You get to cross things off your list. That feels good, a little dopamine rush. And it's going to allow you to actually continue to move forward in through the lessons, in through the growth, because you're actually making progress. And research also shows in this planning process that you will have a higher success rate if you don't do it alone. So if you have a friend, a coworker, if you are a business owner, and you know other business owners who are in the same growth stage, they have that growth mindset, create an accountability partnership with them. Check in once a week. It makes a world of difference when you are stuck in your head worrying about whether it's going to work, whether you're good enough. It helps so much to have another person who is growing alongside you. Okay. And step number 3 is execute and evaluate. So what do I mean by this? Oops, wrong way. What do I mean by this? Execution is the most important tool for self-trust. We can put all the plans, you can fill all the planners in the world. But every time you say you are going to do something and you continue to butt up against your own excuses, you erode your self-trust. And so what I want for you is I want you to take those little tiny, tiny, tiny actions that feel like grains of sand in the mountain you're trying to climb. And I want you to build your sense of self-trust. And be honest. Be honest. It's okay. It's okay if you scheduled your day out and things don't work out that way. But show up for the work the next day, right? If you have a bad week, no problem. No problem. Start next week. Do your best and start next week. But be honest with yourself. Catch yourself in your excuses. Catch yourself in that space that you've been before that's creating the same results that you've had your whole life. If you want to change it, you have to do something different. And so you have to show up and be really honest with where you're at. And if you need help, go get help. Go get support. Ask your peers, ask your friends and family. Go talk to someone, right? Go talk to a professional. But show up for the work. And then as you're moving through it, I cannot tell you how many, because I work with so many women, how hard it is for so many people to celebrate themselves. How many times has somebody told you that, oh, you look beautiful, or oh, you did a really great job here, and you immediately deflect? And there's no lesson in that. There's no lesson in not allowing yourself to sit in what you just did, good or bad. Because in that reflection period, that is where you create change. That's where you have those moments of like, okay, I did it this way and I got this result. What if I made a little change here? Or, oh, that actually felt really good. It felt super uncomfortable when I started, and now I feel amazing. But you have to stop and have that reflection time. And this is another really important thought that I want to leave with you or implore you with today. And that is, I want you to stay rigid in your execution to build that self-trust. And what I mean by that is stay disciplined, continue to show up for it. When you can't see the finish line, when you can't see the result, stay committed to yourself, but stay flexible in the outcome, right? Because we can only control what we can control. We can try our best in business. We can try our best in love. We can try our best with our kids, and we cannot control how it turns out. So I want you to stay really disciplined and really honest with the work that you put in, and stay really flexible with the way that it turns out. Okay. So a bulletproof life comes from self-trust, and it is developed by keeping your promises to yourself. So when you commit to your goal and you stay the course, not only do you build that emotional flexibility, resilience, but you build the confidence required to complete it, to keep going and do it again. So life is going to hit you. What I hope for you is that when you look at your goals from this new lens, when you build a resilience goal, when you build a goal that is just to make you stronger, you get to control how you prepare for it. because we can't control all the things that happen to us, but we can control how we react. And when we continue to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, to stretch ourselves, it allows that emotional flexibility, and it allows us to handle these situations better. And that's what we all want, right? We want to spend more time in the positive energy. We want to spend more time in the glasses half full versus half empty. And we can create that through consistency and through intention and creating a resilient goal for ourselves. So know your value. It is never, ever, ever too late to start. Please don't think it is. You are never too old to change. I don't care if you've been trying one goal since you were 15 years old and you're 50. You are never, ever too old to change, and the world needs you at your best. So do your best to be your best, because resilience is within you. Okay. Oh, I did good. 30 minutes was my goal.
Right on time.
Right on time.
So yeah, if you want to join can you see the screen, Justine?
I can, yeah. I can see everyone now.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna open up for questions. Like if you guys want to unmute or put something in the chat. Again, this was very it's good to be reminded sometimes that, you know, I posted this post yesterday. It's funny because it said I'll read it out. It said, social media got everyone rushing their goals. Just remember that comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on your own lane, own pace, own race. And it kind of comes down to, again, your values and mission, right? And I took a quick note here, and you said micro planning. So, like, how important is Justine, is it to have short-term goals? Like, I know a lot of people will think the big picture, and we're always thinking long term. How important is it to have short-term goals as an entrepreneur? If you have, you know, employees, what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, so I think just as a human, it's important, regardless of what your role is. I often use the analogy of, some people like to build a house from scratch. They go on Pinterest and they build their house, and other people need a show home to walk in and say, I just want that. And so we all learn and we all move forward in life in different ways. So having just small plans in place gives us purpose. And I know for me, when I was a mom at home and I had been laid off and I was pregnant again, I really struggled to find my place in the world. How was I going to share this purpose with people when I felt so different, and the world looked so different for me after having kids? And so short-term goals can look like cleaning out your garage during springtime, right? Like, it doesn't have to, it's not always about lose the 20 pounds or the fancy vacation. It's the small things that help you feel your best. And that's different for everyone. And when we have a goal and when we have a purpose, it gives us a reason to get up in the morning. It gives us a reason to be our best, and continue on that growth journey. But we need that vision. We need something to work towards.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Is anybody else has question? If you guys want to unmute, you guys you can do that, or just put in the chat as well.
Let me get a chance to look at the chat. Yeah, so the burnout I'm seeing, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, if anyone has any questions around, or even examples that you want to share of things that you're seeing, maybe you're struggling with it in home, maybe you're struggling with your team, maybe you're struggling watching somebody else who is going through a challenging time, feel free to share.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
You guys hear me? Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi, Justine. My name's Lauren Fries. I'm a human resources advisor. I was the one that added the comment that I have experienced and witnessed burnout. In my role, I am supporting managers and employees so that they can come to work and not experience burnout. But then I feel, it has a large impact on myself, because now I'm sort of carrying the, burdens that other people have shared with me. And I really find those micro goals. I've followed you in the past, Justine, and I so believe in that, making small changes, and instead of worrying about, getting to like my biggest goal, what can I do today to be resilient myself so that I can show up and be resilient and lead by example for my team that is also experiencing burnout. So that's a big takeaway for me. And just finding that work-life balance is, it can be very exhausting.
Yeah. And also detachment too, right? If you're holding a lot of people, I experienced that as well, coaching women who don't just share their business life, they share what's going on in their house because it bleeds into their business. And just knowing that their experience gets to be their experience and we don't have to hold that experience for them. And also that we can't control that, right? We can't control their outcome. We can't control how we're received. We can't control their emotions. So just letting their experience be with them and be an observer of it instead of an absorber of it.
Definitely something I have to continue working on practicing all the time. I definitely resonate with that comment.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anyone else have comments or questions?
I have a good question here. And how important is communication for you, Justine, with your partner?
I mean, communication is everything in life. But what I've found with communication is that you have to feel confident enough in yourself to be able to actually communicate. Because in the end of the day, similar to what I was just saying to Lauren, is if you're going to put yourself out there and you're going to say something, you need to be okay with the fact that it may not be received in the way you would like it to be received. And you need to be okay with yourself in that, right? You need to be like, nope, I know my values. I know who I am. I know my intentions. So regardless of how that message is perceived, I'm still going to be honest, and I'm going to communicate in the best way that I know, which has been a big lesson for me in social media, right? Oh my gosh, like showing your face every day and giving people the opportunity to misinterpret your intentions has been a really big thing. But communication is everything in any relationship, whether it's your children, at work, with your partner. And the older you get and the more resilient you become, the easier it is to just be really honest with who you are, what you want, and what your expectations are.
Awesome, thanks. Is there any other questions or anybody that wants to unmute? Okay. So if there's no questions, so I just put in the chat a couple upcoming webinars. So we have on Wednesday, May 15th, we will have WTC Talks. So WTC Talks a good way to, I think there's an echo. So it's just a good way to network. So basically we'll have Landon Krecker, founder at Von Slicks, and Kevin Selch, founder at Little Brown Jug. And again, it will be hosted at Little Brown Jug. And again, it's just them kind of just sharing their success journey. And there's going to be lots of people there. So if you want to attend, just click the link. And then on Thursday, May 16th, we have a webinar, Back to Basic, Why Mastering Fundamental Marketing Principle is Key to Success. And it'll be, again, at the same time from 12 to 1 p.m. CST. Lauren, you just put in the chat, the more I communicate with my coworker and develop strong relationship, the more we become resilient as a team. Very good point. And then we have Trevor here. Is there a way to get access to the recording of this session? I would love to have my student adults learning English hear what Justine presented. Yes, Trevor. So we will be sending the recording sometime this week. Okay, well, so if there's no further questions, we will wrap up today's webinar. Again, thank you, Justine. It's always nice to, remind yourself about this, right? Like it's, even I was at the North Forge event last weekend, and I was talking to an entrepreneur that started Bro Nuts, and he was just talking about the struggles about just like time management and like how he has 2 kids now, and it's at the end of the day, like he was saying that, yeah, like he had to, make time for his kids, but he didn't want to, schedule like in his schedule, like spend time with my kids. Like he really wanted that quality time. And I think, nowadays with, our phones and social media, and we get caught up with, the work and obviously just, scrolling in general, but it's also good to have just quality time for yourself, right? So it's like these little reminders, it's good that you share this with us, and hopefully I'll be able to throw some sprinkles at the end of the day today. Okay, well, I hope everybody have a good afternoon here, and I will see you guys in the next session.